Welcome to the deep dive. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring AI efficiency. Focusing on LLMs, those large language models we all love to talk about.
Yeah.
And we've got some excerpts from a research paper to guide us here. Token budget aware LLM reasoning. Catchy, right?
Yeah, definitely catchy and packed with some cool insights for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to try to unpack this new method they call TAIL, which, aims to make LLMs better at reasoning without breaking the bank, so to speak.
It's all about making these AI systems smarter and more cost effective.
Exactly. Like imagine you've got this super brilliant AI, but it just can't shut up. It's like trying to have a conversation with someone who loves the sound of their own voice.
Uh-huh. I think we all know someone like that.
Right. And this research is all about like finding ways to help that AI get to the point, to be more efficient with its thinking.
Yeah, it's building on what we've learned with chain of thought prompting, SOT, which has been a game changer for LLM's reasoning abilities. But the thing is, SOT, well, it can get a little chatty. And all that chattiness uses up a ton of tokens, which equals, you guessed it, higher costs.
Right. It's like when you're solving a math problem and you have to write out every single step in excruciating detail, helps you think it through, but it takes forever.
Exactly. And in the world of AI, forever translates to money, especially for businesses that rely on these LLMs for, heavy duty tasks. Those costs can pile up really quickly.
Okay, so that's where this idea of a token budget comes in.
Right.
So what is that exactly? Are we talking about like giving the AI an allowance and saying, hey, don't blow it all in one place?
Uh-huh. That's a pretty good analogy. Essentially, the researchers wanted to see if LLMs could stick to a limited token budget, encouraging them to be more concise in their reasoning. And what they found was kind of surprising. By giving the LLM a reasonable budget, they were able to make the outputs, the AI's responses, much shorter, often by like 3 times or even more.
Wow, 3 times shorter. That's a big difference.
Right. And the best part, the accuracy of the answers didn't take a hit.
Hold on. So we're talking about like
Yeah.
massive potential cost savings without sacrificing performance. That sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, there's this little twist. It turns out there's this delicate balance you have to find. They call it token elasticity.
Ooh, token elasticity. That sounds kind of mysterious. What's that all about?
Well, they discovered that if you make the token budget too strict, the LLM can actually end up using more tokens overall. Like, it's trying so hard to squeeze its thoughts into such a tiny space that it overcompensates.
So it's like trying to explain, I don't know, quantum physics in a single tweet.
Yeah.
You might end up needing a whole thread just to scratch the surface, right?
Exactly. That's the challenge, finding the right balance. You got to find that sweet spot, that optimal token budget, where the LLM can be concise without compromising accuracy.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do they go about finding this sweet spot, this optimal budget?
Well, they developed a pretty clever algorithm to pinpoint that ideal budget for different types of problems.
So they're essentially teaching the AI to be mindful of its own verbosity, to find that balance between giving a thorough answer and being efficient. That's really interesting.
It is, and it really makes you think about how these LLMs are processing information, solving problems. It's not just blindly following instructions. There's something deeper going on there.
Yeah, I agree. This is where it gets really fascinating for me, right? It's not just about optimizing AI, but it's like we're getting a glimpse into how their minds work.
Yeah, it really does make you wonder, doesn't it? It's not just about programming a set of rules. It's more like, we're trying to understand how this AI brain is actually working.
Absolutely. And then the question becomes, okay, so how do we actually use that knowledge? How do we harness that to make AI even better? One thing I'm curious about is like, how did they figure out these token budgets in the first place? Did they just kind of like guesstimate, or was there a more, systematic way of doing it?
Well, they actually tried a few different approaches, which is pretty cool. One that I thought was particularly interesting was, get this, they asked the LLM itself to estimate how many tokens it would need.
Wait, hold on. They asked the AI to like predict how long its own thought process would be? That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty meta, right? And you know what? It actually worked pretty well.
Really?
Yeah. It's almost like, imagine if you could ask your brain, hey, how much effort is this task going to take? We kind of do that intuitively as humans, right? Like, you look at a giant to-do list and you're like, oh man, this is going to be a long day. But in this case, it's the AI gauging its own, like, mental workload.
Right, right. So it's got this built-in sense of like, okay, this is a complex problem. I'm going to need some extra tokens for this one.
Exactly. And they call this zero-shot estimation,
Mhm.
and it turned out to be a surprisingly effective way to predict how many tokens the LLM would actually use.
Okay, that's pretty amazing. So they basically gave the AI a little bit of self-awareness when it comes to like budgeting its own thought process.
Right. It's like a little token accountant making sure everything stays lean and efficient.
I love it. But okay, so all this talk about budgets and efficiency is great, but did it actually work? Did this whole tail thing deliver on its promise? Like, did it actually save tokens?
Okay, so the results were pretty impressive. They tested Tail on a bunch of challenging math problems, the kind that really make an LLM sweat, and they consistently found significant reductions in token usage compared to, just using the standard chain of thought prompting.
So they were definitely saving tokens. That's good news. But what about the accuracy? Like, did making the AI be more concise mess up the answers at all?
That's the crazy part. In most cases, the accuracy was just as good, sometimes even a little better, than the standard COTI approach. It's like they were getting more bang for their buck, but with fewer tokens.
Wow. So lower cost A&D, potentially even better performance. That sounds like a win-win to me. Almost seems too good to be true. Is there a catch I'm missing here?
Well, there are always more questions to explore. Like, why does this whole token elasticity thing happen in the first place? What is it about having a really strict budget that sometimes makes the LLM even more verbose? We don't have all the answers yet.
Right, right. It kind of highlights how much we still don't know about how these models think.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole research area so fascinating. It's not just about optimizing AI for efficiency. It's about, like, pushing the boundaries of our understanding. Like, what else can these models do that we haven't even thought of yet?
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been talking all about Tail and, how it can make these LLMs, these large language models, way more efficient by managing how they use those precious tokens.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not just about saving money, although that's always a good thing, right? It's about, like, really understanding how these AI models think, getting a glimpse into that black box.
Exactly. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Like, we're giving these AI systems a budget, and they're actually able to stick to it and still give us accurate results.
Yeah, it's like they're learning to be more mindful.
Yeah, totally. And it raises all sorts of interesting questions, right? Like, what are the implications of all this? How can we use this knowledge to make AI even better?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, what are the practical real-world applications of all this?
Yeah.
Where could this kind of efficiency really make a difference?
Oh man, the possibilities are huge. Think about like scientific research. You've got scientists running all these complex simulations, analyzing tons of data, and it takes a ton of computing power, which can be super expensive.
Right.
But with Tail, they could potentially tackle even bigger problems, with the same resources.
That's amazing. What about education? Like personalized learning. We've seen a lot of AI-powered platforms popping up, but they can be pretty pricey, right?
Oh, for sure.
If we can make those LLMs more efficient, it can make quality education accessible to so many more people, which would be incredible.
Absolutely. And we can't forget about healthcare either. AI is already making waves there, helping doctors diagnose diseases, personalize treatments, even develop new drugs. But again, it's all about computing power, and the cost can be a big barrier.
Yeah, if we could reduce those costs, it could have a huge impact on patient care.
Totally. And then there's the like philosophical side of things, which is always fun to think about.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like this whole token elasticity thing we talked about earlier, where giving the AI a super strict budget can actually make it use more tokens. That's pretty weird, right?
Yeah, super weird. It really challenges how we think about AI. It's not just a machine blindly following instructions. It's something more than that.
Exactly. It's like we're seeing the emergence of a new kind of intelligence, one that operates under different rules, different constraints than we do. And as we learn more about how it works, who knows what we'll discover?
Yeah, it's like we're just scratching the surface here. And it's exciting, right? To think about all the possibilities.
It is exciting. It makes you wonder, like, what other surprises are these LLMs hiding? What other talents can we unlock if we just figure out the right way to talk to them?
Right. To teach them. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, from the nitty-gritty of token budgets to, like, the big picture of what this all means for the future of AI. It's been a wild ride.
It has. And, it's just the beginning. This research opens up so many doors, so many new avenues to explore.
Absolutely. And if you're as fascinated by this stuff as we are, definitely check out the links in the show notes. We've got the full research paper there, plus some other cool resources you might enjoy.
And keep those brains buzzing. The world of AI is constantly changing, evolving. There's always something new to discover.
Until next time, keep on diving.